let me tell you about a little game called Outer Wilds. You know what? Actually scrap that. This sounds like I'm introducing you to Outer Wilds and you know nothing about the game. But let me tell you, if you haven't played it, please stop watching this video right now. I'm dead serious. Even if you don't plan on playing Outer Wilds anytime soon. This is one of those games that gets absolutely ruined if you've been spoiled about its contents. If you want to play it, I beg you to go in as blindly as possible and return once you're done. Trust me, it's for your own good. If you're still watching this, I assume that you have played Outer Wilds yourself or are part of the unfortunate group of people who know what happens in the game without having played it. So as a disclaimer, there won't be any huge endgame spoilers or anything like that in this video. I'll try my best to prevent spoiling important parts of the game, but when it comes to Outer Wilds, anything is a major spoiler if you ask me. Alright, where was I? Right, hi, and welcome to Extra Special Games, a show where I talk about games that are, well, extra special to me. If you want to know more about what the series is all about, I've made a whole video covering that, but basically, expect these videos to be me rambling on about games that mean a lot to me and how they've influenced me as well as my personal life. It's all going to be very subjective and personal. Now back to Outer Wilds. If you have played Outer Wilds, I'm sure that you think it's a phenomenal game. Most who experience it love it to pieces. So much so that I can remember constantly being told to play this game ever since its release. Looking back, I can totally see why so many people recommended it to me. Outer Wilds is one of those once-in-a-lifetime experiences. It's really unlike any game I have ever played before or since. Just think of how this game handles its open world completely differently from all other games out there. No waypoints, objective markers, quest lists, bloated maps or anything of the sort. In Outer Wilds, you decide where you want to go. Want to check out that dope planet with a black hole inside of it? Do it! Want to find out more about this mysterious asteroid? Go for it! Want to try landing on the sun station? Actually, you know what? Maybe don't do that. What I'm trying to say is, Outer Wilds is a game where you pave your own path. Outer Wilds throws you into a world that is jam-packed with mysteries and tells you to go find your own fun. I remember talking to Hornfelds in the beginning of the game, and they asked me what I wanted to explore first. Remember, I had no idea what this game was about, so I thought, wait, what do I want to explore? Only then did I begin to understand what kind of game Outer Wilds really is. Your journey through Outer Wilds is your journey, not unlike in another game I'll be covering in a future episode. In that regard, I believe that this game makes excellent use of an important aspect that is exclusive to video games: player agency. In Outer Wilds, the player's own understanding of how the events, places and pieces of information relate to each other is what matters the most. As a result, Outer Wilds is one of the most unlinear games out there. And I don't mean that in a way of saying that non-linearity is objectively better than linearity. On the contrary, there are a lot of linear games that I enjoyed just as much as Outer Wilds. This game's non-linearity works so incredibly well in the context of space exploration. It's honestly insane. Your own curiosity is what guides you through Outer Wilds' solar system, which is why playing this game feels so personal. Normally, I hate reading seemingly endless lines of text in video games, and I'm not a big fan of history either. Yet, Outer Wilds made me read line after line about an ancient historical alien civilization, and I ended up loving it. This game managed to combine two things that quite literally make me fall asleep, namely reading and history, and somehow I had an absolute blast with it. Because the game never told me to do any of this. Because I cared about what happened to these mysterious aliens. I wanted to find out who they were and what they were doing. In fact, even after I finished the game and cleared the entire ship log, I scoured the wiki, constantly searching for new information to satisfy my thirst for finding out more. I wanted to know more about this strange little solar system. Outer Wilds is a game about many things. I can't really find a single word to sum it all up, but if I had to, gun pointed to my head, then fear would probably be a popular contender. So many elements in this game relate to one fear or another. Fear of heights? Check. Thalassophobia? Check. Claustrophobia? Check. Fear of a black hole that is always sitting underneath you and will eventually, one day, swallow you, painfully stretching you into human spaghetti. Check. Outer Wilds is not really a horror game, and I'm thankful for that, because I don't really like horror games. But it also isn't not a horror game, because it does have a lot of frightening elements, you know? I still remember my first time falling into that black hole. It was a roller coaster of emotions. For a few seconds, I just sat there in shock, watching as this huge, light-bending black hole came closer. I thought it was all over. It was a very surreal feeling that no other experience in a game ever gave me. The same goes for my first time entering the atmosphere of Giant's Deep. For a moment I was scared that my ship would crash into the planet's outer layer of fog, and I prepared for the oncoming impact. When I was past the fog, the game hit me with this desolate and stormy scenery of water tornadoes, restless waters, and lonely islands. But in very general, most of these fears relate to death in some way. Which, I mean, yeah, of course they do. Fears as a whole tend to relate to death because, well, they're supposed to protect us from it. I previously mentioned that I don't really like horror games, and there's a simple reason for that. I'm a huge wimp. I'm scared very easily. At times, I thought that this was it, and that I couldn't keep playing Outer Wilds, because after a certain point, every single session was just too scary, too intense, and too terrifying for me to handle. But I kept pushing through nonetheless. Outer Wilds really isn't a game that makes it easy for you to start liking it. You have to go through a bunch of text until you start to become invested, and the game does not guide you through its world at all. Most likely, your first piece of information that you find won't even make any sense to you, because it relates to something else that you haven't seen, read, or experienced yet. But if you keep following these bits of information, it will all make beautiful sense eventually. Piece by piece, you uncover the mysteries of the game's strange solar system, and you start getting these aha moments that make you feel like you are the smartest person alive. Outer Wilds makes you feel like a total genius because it lets you figure out its secrets. Whenever you achieve something in this game, it doesn't feel like the game told you what to do and where to go, because you found it all out yourself. It's satisfying beyond any explanation. The only bad aspect I can think of for Outer Wilds is the fact that you can only really play it once. Once you know the ins and outs, there isn't much left to see or do. It might just be the most unreplayable game out there. That is why it's so enjoyable for me to watch other people play it. It's the only way I can re-experience one of my favorite games. Recently, after 2 years of me begging my brother to give it a chance, he finally gave in and played Outer Wilds. It was so much fun to witness him uncovering all of the game's mysteries. To be fair, I probably gave him too many hints, and I really need to get better at shutting up and giving others the time that I needed as well when I first played it. But we still had a blast. Now he wants his best friend to play it. Thus, the cycle continues. By the way, if you crave content for others playing Outer Wilds like I do, you should check out ELS. They have a bunch of supercuts of people playing through it to keep you fed with that sweet, sweet Outer Wilds juice. When I first played Outer Wilds in 2021, I just started my studies at university. And yeah, you heard me right, I survived 2 years of being reminded over and over that I should give this game a go. I remember talking to another student whom I just met on the tram during a preparation week seminar. We talked about video games and I told him about Outer Wilds because whenever I wasn't playing it, I was thinking about it. All the time. After finishing it a few days later, I kept thinking about it for days, weeks, months even. And I think that's how you know that a game is extra special to you. If you just can't stop thinking about it, no matter what. Anyway, as I was saying, I just started out at university and let me tell you, I was scared. Remember how I told you that I am a huge wimp? Well, I graduated school earlier that year and it felt as if my life was moving on faster than I wanted it to. Once I realized that I wouldn't go to school to meet all of my friends anymore, it was already too late. I had to come to terms that these days were over now. Suddenly, I wasn't going to school anymore and I was afraid that I'd feel alone at university, since all of my friends were doing something else with their lives. I got this feeling of, well, the simple fun times are over now. Good luck with being able to see your friends at all. It honestly terrified me. I was so scared that I would both lose contact with my old friends and not make any new friends at university. I was getting anxious just by thinking about venturing into the unknown, the world of academia. Oh yeah, and then there's this whole thing of what I was actually going to study. Mathematics. Oh, and also English, I guess, but that doesn't really matter right now. If I had to summarize maths in one phrase, then I would say that it hates everyone equally. Maths does not care who you are or what you want from it. It will give you a hard time, no matter what. Studying maths often means going to bed with a feeling of defeat and more questions than answers. As if maths doesn't want you to understand it. A few months ago, I told some of my friends that studying mathematics is basically my IRL Dark Souls experience. And they literally replied, "Maths being compared to a die and retry seems accurate to me." Yeah, but in a die and retry you eventually win. And I can't really put it better, to be honest. It's that difficult. I constantly find myself asking if this is really the right thing for me to pursue. If it will be worth all the struggle in the end. I guess only time will tell, because I still don't know the answers to these questions. And I'm not trying to fish for pity here or anything like that. I just want you to know how horrified and lost I felt in the time when I played Outer Wilds. Because you know what else is terrifying as shit? That's right. Space. Which coincidentally is exactly where Outer Wilds takes place. You know, there's a very strange beauty to be found in the nature of space. Space is kind of like maths in that it also doesn't really care who you are or what you want from it. It can literally kill you in a matter of seconds. Well, okay, mathematics can't do that, but you get my point. Yet, or probably for that exact reason, humans are obsessed with it. The weird thing about the solar system in Outer Wilds is that nothing is actively trying to murder you. Yes, you can get suffocated, crushed, electrocuted, burned, or die in whatever strange way ghost matter kills you, but that just happens because you, as the player, weren't careful enough. The sun isn't trying to kill you. Ghost matter isn't trying to kill you. Nothing in this game actually wants you dead. Well, except for these guys. But other than that, you're usually alone when you're in danger in Outer Wilds. A few months ago, I saw a post by someone that read, "People aren't scared of being alone in the dark. They are scared of not being alone in the dark." And that is honestly a very accurate description of a lot of the feelings this game conveys. When I explored the dark caves of the Amber Twin, I was always scared that I'd eventually turn around the corner and there'd be something waiting for me. But that never happened. In reality, I was alone. Nobody came.
Almost like in another game that I'll cover in a future episode.
In Outer Wilds, death is inevitable because of the game's time loop mechanic, which, paradoxically, is also why death starts to feel a bit uneventful after a while. I stopped caring about whether or not I was going to survive certain obstacles after playing for some time. Eventually, I just thought to myself, it's alright, you can just start over if you die now. Because I could. Because of that, I started to come to terms with the idea of death. And I started to recognize that space may be lethally dangerous, but it's also oddly peaceful in a sense. The silentness and emptiness of space can be quite scary, depressing, claustrophobic even. One wrong step and it's all over. You're dead. Full stop. You're completely on your own here. Nobody would ever come to your rescue. But it can also be very calm and liberating. It honestly entirely depends on how you look at it. Despite Outer Wilds' 22-minute time limit per run, you can take your time. Let everything sink in and just breathe for a while if you want to. Whenever your time runs up, the next time loop is right around the corner, so why not take it slow? Outer Wilds always allows you to just reflect on your journey and realize its implications. But there are also others who don't have that luxury. There are some scenes in the game where you see dead nomai who were struck by immense misfortune. When you see them, it's like you entered a pocket of time that never changed. As if time completely froze once these nomai died. In this scene, there are even two nomai who were hugging in their very last moments. And my god, the music perfectly captures the feelings that these nomai graves convey. They qualify as some of the most tragic things I have ever seen in the game. There was nothing these nomai could do. A terrible whim of fate caused them to lose everything, just like that. Everything they had in life. It was all gone in a matter of moments. By extension, the whole nomai clan in the Harthian solar system died from pure bad luck. If you know, you know. And that fact paints a pretty disturbing picture. What if all of humanity went extinct tomorrow due to a devastating catastrophe? What if millennia of human evolution just led to a really unlucky event that caused us all to die out? What if we lost everything we have worked towards to something we couldn't even anticipate? In space, not a single personal problem really matters. I mean, how significant can it really be from the vast perspective of space and at the constant risk of immediate death? Man. I guess getting to the point of having an existential crisis is unavoidable once you start thinking about space. But I wholeheartedly believe that there are also many positive conclusions to be drawn from thinking about the meaninglessness of life, as unbelievable as that may sound. If nothing truly matters, why not go all out? If my life has no meaning, then why should I be scared of studying mathematics? Why shouldn't I just enter this exciting world of university life? It's what I chose for myself and my own happiness after all, so I might as well just give it my best shot. And if I fail, I can just stand back up and try again, so who cares? This idea of optimistic curiosity that Outer Wilds gave me was exactly what I needed for starting my studies. Soon enough, I tried to start my days at university with an open mind, and it paid out. Turns out there were many others who were just as terrified of maths as me. And I mean, what better way is there to make new friends than through a shared enemy, am I right? I started to make new friends and I can now fondly look back at my first days at university. Funnily enough, Outer Wilds doesn't work that differently from that. Once you realize how how necessary failure is in this game, it becomes a lot more fun. If you don't die, if you don't make any mistakes, then, well, how are you supposed to learn anything new? After I stopped worrying about every little thing, I was able to focus on all of the fun mysteries that were still waiting to be uncovered. The unknown can be the most exciting place to be in if you stop seeing it as a threat and start seeing it as an opportunity for new discoveries. Always staying in one's comfort zone may seem like the better option at first, but not leaving that comfort zone means stagnating. Only by challenging yourself, your ideas, and your capabilities can you grow as a person and find out who you truly are. Now, there isn't really a point or message to this video, but I can tell you this. If you let nothing but your own curiosity guide you through this world, then nothing can stop you. Nothing will stand in your way. Hi again. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is my first time doing anything like this, so it was pretty intimidating to be honest, but I think everything turned out quite alright. If you want to, you can find me on Twitter at extraspecialg, or, well, here in this channel as well, I guess. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up to make the YouTube algorithm happy. I would really appreciate that. Also, feel free to check out my future videos, even if they cover games you haven't played yet. If you liked this one, chances are you'll enjoy my other stuff as well. Please consider subscribing and hitting the bell in order to be notified when I upload the next video. Anyway, that's it. I hope you have an extra special day. See ya!